Oh no, we got a problem. The Firebird isn't starting. So shortly after releasing the last episode, I was driving around and my throttle body had got stuck open. So my natural instinct was just to slam on the brakes and cut the motor. And for some reason, ever since then, I have not been able to get the car started. In fact, I had to get towed home that day. Now you may be wondering, gee, Chris, how did your throttle body get stuck open? Come, let me show you. Well, you see, there's supposed to be a clip here, but not too long ago, I lost that clip, so I thought it would be a bright idea to zip tie the throttle cable onto this. Well, I'll tell you what, folks, that was a tremendous mistake, because when I had this open to full throttle, and it probably won't do it for you here, it actually got stuck in such a way to where my throttle was stuck almost completely open. But hey, regardless of how it happened, let's not dwell on that. Fortunately, there's a few easy steps to determine why the car is not actually turning over. There's one particular test that could provide me with actually a ton of information, and that is to check if I'm getting a spark to the spark plugs. So I'm going to pull one of my spark plug wires, and I happen to have an extra spark plug laying around. I'm going to put that in here. And now, I'm going to ground the spark plug to some metal, just like that. Now I'm going to go turn the ignition and look for a spark. If I have a spark, that's going to tell me that my distributor cap and rotor, my ignition module, and my ignition coil are all working. And I hope you're able to see that in the camera. There was definitely a spark. And that's cool, that means all that stuff is working. We know that we're getting a spark, and we know that we're getting air. What we don't know is if we're getting fuel. So first test, I'm gonna put the key in the on position, and we should hear the fuel pump come on. And I heard that. I'm not sure if you guys heard it, I'll do it again. Key in the on position. I went ahead and rented a fuel pressure tester kit from O'Reilly's. They were the only ones in town that had one to rent. The other guys wanted me to buy one, and sometimes these things can be like 150 bucks. So, got that attached to the Schrader valve on the fuel rail, and what I'm going to do is kind of prop this up on the window. Okay. The sun is directly behind it. Of course it is! I'm going to put the key in the on position. And that went up to like 9. I'm going to give it a couple cranks. Now it should maintain this with no problem. I'm gonna let this sit here for a few minutes. I'm gonna go grab my socket wrench because I think the next step is to pull the spark plugs and check for compression. It's been 10 minutes. Still reads, can you see that? Still reads 40. Next step is to remove the spark plugs. Some of these are kind of tricky to get to. I'm probably gonna have to get under the car. So I'm just gonna skip ahead till I got them all out. Alright, so when I do this, I'm going to open the throttle up all the way by pressing the gas down to the floor, and we're gonna look for 4 cranks, and we'll see where we're at. So the first cylinder is right at 120 and holding. I'm going to do this for the other 7 cylinders, and hopefully I don't have a compression issue. While I was testing the compression, the starter began to make a clicking sound. The gear from the starter was getting stuck on the flex plate, and it would only come apart if I tap it, so I ended up taking off the starter and bringing it back to the shop that I bought it from. I probably could have done this earlier, but I'm going to go ahead and see if there are any codes being thrown from the computer. And actually, that would also confirm that the computer is even working. I've got the pins connected, pins 5 and 6 on the OBD1 contact. I'm going to turn the key to the on position, and we're going to watch the engine light. So we're just getting a status code of 12 over and over again. It basically means the computer's working, there's no codes. Alright, it's about a half hour later, so it's gotten a little bit darker, but fortunately I got these fancy lights under my hood. So what I'm testing now is my TPS sensor, and that is this right here. So what I've done is I've gotten out my multimeter, and I've plugged the positive side into the middle hole on this plug. There's 1, 2, 3, I've got it in the middle. I've got my negative on the negative battery terminal. And I've got the key in the on position. And my reading here is 0.69. Now that's a little high. This is probably not the reason why the car's not starting. We want it to be a little bit closer to 0.5. And the way this works is, if I open the throttle, you'll see the number goes up. There's a little arm over here that as I open the throttle, it pushes down on this lever. So actually, if I just do that, yeah. So though I don't think this is actually the problem, at 0.8's really high. I don't think this is the problem, but it's got to be adjusted anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. It's been a few weeks since the car has started. I ended up having to change the starter out. The one that I installed a couple months ago, I guess, was defective. So with the new starter in now, I'm trying to get the car started, and I'm noticing that the distributor is rocking back and forth like ever so slightly whenever I attempt to crank the car over. It's tough to get on camera to see the actual movement. I guess I can try to get it on recording. I think it's possible that, because I checked everything. I'm getting spark and fuel and compression. Even though I'm getting spark, I can't really 100% confirm that it's timed properly, so there could be some damage to the distributor. So I went ahead and got myself a new one, and I'm going to throw it in now. As soon as I removed the cap for the distributor, I noticed that the rotor was pointed in an odd direction. It was kind of pointed directly towards the front of the car. On the underside of the rotor, there's a notch, and this notch lines up on the spindle to the distributor. So when I popped it into place, I noticed that the rotor was then pointing directly towards the driver's side of the car, at pretty much a complete 90-degree angle from where it was prior. So after noticing that, I was pretty confident that that was actually the issue, so I threw the distributor cap back on, and I figured I'd give the car a start. Here goes nothing. Wow, I can't believe that was it. I am pumped right now. That's unbelievable. I don't know how that happened. The rotor. I'm getting a phone call. Guess who just decided to fire up? Really? It was the rotor came loose under the distributor cap. Have you ever heard of that? No. So yeah, because I had pulled the cap off. I had pulled the cap off before, just to do like a visual inspection, and at the time I didn't realize that the rotor was pointed in the wrong direction. Furthermore, that's weird. That's why I was still getting spark. It was just the timing was completely wrong. Son of a gun. Well, she's back. We're back in business. Now I gotta get the timing right. Now that it's running again. And put the interior back together. But hey, I learned something. I didn't know that was possible. And the best part is I can return the new distributor now. Don't even need it. Save myself $100. Hey, thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope this helps somebody out there. This was a tough one because I was getting the spark, and I couldn't confirm the timing because the car wouldn't start. Hey, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. The 91's back in business. There's gonna be a lot more videos like this between this Firebird and that Firebird. I got a lot of work to do, and it's gonna be fun. See you next time.